Welcome to Co-Work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we're a show all about the modern entrepreneur. Each week we interview two company founders. We want to thank our major sponsors, Impact Hub, Santa Barbara, and Montecito Bank and Trust.
Noah Denzel is here with us today. Noah co-founded Hello Nomad. They are makers of portable charging accessories for mobile devices.
And also four-time Emmy Award winner Mitchell Kriegman is going to be here as well. Mitchell is an actor, a TV producer, a writer, and chances are if you have kids, you've watched a lot of the shows he's produced. He's a great interview, and he's also the creator of something called Puppet Palooza. So I'll tell you all about that. Also, in a minute, we'll tell you about next week's guests as well. But first, we're going to start out with a little bit of business news.
Zoto's Bowling here in Santa Barbara is still offering free bowling for victims of fire and mudslide, but that offer does expire today, January 31. So call, make your lane reservation at zotos.com or 805-967-0128.
We've been reporting on the Local Assistance Recovery Center, or the LAC, at 1 North Calle Cesar Chavez, and I decided I'd go by this last weekend and check it out for myself just to see. There's no photographs or any media really invited there other than just to observe. But, boy, I got to tell you, they were busy. They have people there for counseling services for people. FEMA has got a big trailer set up and very easy access. And then also they've got areas where people can just sit on their laptops. They help them fill out information and forms to rebuild homes and businesses. And I know you'd appreciate this, Jane. They also had these just beautiful comfort dogs there. Aww. 3 of them. I wanted to bring them all home, but they were doing such a great job. And they are only going to be open until this Saturday. So if you want to check out the LAC, 1 North Calle Cesar Chavez, and there's a lot of signage in that area. So.
Hey, Santa Barbara Film Festival starts tonight at 8 o'clock at the Arlington. In this international festival, we have 200 films and tributes, and this will bring some badly needed economic boost for Santa Barbara after our back-to-back disasters. So go to sbiff.org for tickets, and we are expecting thousands of people in downtown for that. Oh, also, just last weekend, Music for Healing concert raised $32,000 for flood victims. That's thanks to Montecito Bank and Trust, Santa Barbara Symphony, and Center for Performing Arts. Monies went to United Way of Santa Barbara County for flood disaster and relief.
And don't forget, one of our listeners tipped us off to this next weekend on Saturday. Kevin Costner, Olivia Newton-John, and Colby Calais all perform in a benefit concert for victims of the fire that was planned there in Ventura. And, okay, so coming up, some broader business news for you. Of course, Super Bowl, a lot of people looking forward to that this Sunday. I think the going rate at this point, it's a little over $5 million for a 60-second ad. So if you break that down, it was somewhere every second is $167,000. So they better make it work. The commercials to be watching for, they used to be sacred, but they actually show them beforehand now to get a little bit more traction out of it. Don't forget to look for Pepsi. Now, Pepsi is actually going retro. They're bringing back supermodel Cindy Crawford and mirroring a spot that she did for the Super Bowl in 1992 when her son Presley was a teeny child. Well, he's all grown up, and he's now a model himself. And Kia also is one to look for. Look for that one. If you remember last year, that was the Melissa McCarthy Hero's Journey one.
Oh, I love her.
They're going to be that's going to be a hard one to beat. But Emerson Fittipaldi, who is a race car driver, long known, a Brazilian race car driver, is going to face off against a currently unknown celebrity, Kira Stingers, and then Skittles also has one that features David Schwimmer that's supposed to be a watch for.
David Schwimmer. Wow. That's from Friends.
Yes.
He's actually also a very successful director, maybe producer too. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, yes. Amazon, I love this, is partnering with Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, J.P. Morgan Chase, and, Amazon. Did I say Amazon? To address healthcare costs by forming their own insurance company for workers and families. So the new company is going to be free from profit. and free from incentives and constraints. And together, those three companies have 850,000 employees.
Wow. Hey, here's one we can sort of relate to. The emergency alerts on your cell phone. You ever seen those? Well, the people in Hawaii, of course, now that guy's been fired. But what's happening now is if you've ever seen the emergency alerts on your phone, but they're not from your community, the FCC is starting to crack down on that. They want to make sure that people are getting emergency alerts that are useful ones that are in their communities because they're worried that consumers will start to disregard those alerts if they're not. So,
but you sign up for it with your own phone number. So if I was in Hawaii on vacation, I'd still get alerts for Santa Barbara.
Yes. Well, that's true.
Maybe some people are signing up old phone numbers. That wouldn't really make sense.
They could be doing that, or they could just be making them more widespread. Also, child development experts, I'm sure you heard about this, want to pull the plug on the Facebook new messaging app that's aimed at kids. It's aimed at kids 13 and under, and they've sent off a pretty scathing letter to CEO Mark Zuckerberg telling him to stop the messaging app. They're saying that kids just are not ready to navigate their way through online relationships, concerns about privacy, etc. So
apparently people who work in the tech industry, their children have less face tech time than any other children.
Is that right? Their parents are probably so burnt out by the time they get home from the day.
Or they know the damages. I don't know.
That's true.
Now, the Wing, I don't know if we talked about it before. It's an exclusive female-only co-working space in Soho with 8,000 women on the waiting list. They're now opening another one in Washington, D.C.
I think you'll see that grow and grow. We'll talk more about co-working, too, as the show continues here, but we do need to take our break. Afterwards, our UCSB professor, business author, John Greathouse, one of our favorite segments, going to be here to answer your questions. You are listening to Co-work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. You can follow us on social media as well. And thank you once again to our sponsors, major sponsors, Impact Hub, Montecito Bank and Trust. We'll be back right after this. Do you have a special event coming up? Go to Zoto's for all your party needs. At Zoto's, they offer packages for birthday parties, corporate and team building events, accompanied, of course, with a light show, DJ, delicious food, bowling, and full bar. Call 967-0128, where the staff will help you plan and execute an exciting event, all within your budget. Go to Zotos.com to book your party now, because when you're having an event, it's got to be Zoto's.
Koto Group. We are a boutique property management firm located here in the Central Coast. We are small enough to prioritize your business and large enough to match the right tenants with your property. Koto Group. We work for you 24/7 with around-the-clock marketing and emergency service. At Koto Group, we use leading-edge software, making us efficient and cost-effective. Koto Group. Property management for the 21st century.
Hi, I'm Dan Farrick, Managing Director of the Impact Hub Santa Barbara. Come visit us and find out why co-working spaces are booming. Our 2 locations in the Funk Zone and downtown Santa Barbara offer private offices, permanent desks, and a variety of co-working memberships starting as low as $60 a month. Mention Co-work Radio when you book our tour, and we'll give you 10% off your first 6 months of membership. Join a community where you can live and work smart. Go to ImpactHubSB.com or call 284-0078 to find out more.
Impulse is Santa Barbara's choice for reliable, high-speed fiber internet and cloud-based phone systems. Impulse offers best-in-class internet connectivity customized for your business needs. Impulse takes a high-touch approach to service, managing every aspect of your communications from the phones to the router to the internet, all provided by great local people who know you and are easy to talk to. Impulse has learned it's actually not just business, it is personal. Find out how Impulse can make your business more successful. Visit impulse.net today to learn more.
Welcome back to Co-Work Radio here on KZSB 1290 AM. I'm Catherine Raymock.
And I'm Jane Walker-Wood.
And we have one of our favorite segments and people here, UCSB Professor and business author John Greathouse. To answer your questions, you can go to coworkradio.com to find out how you could submit your questions, or directly to AskJohn at coworkradio.com. And you can also listen on iTunes, iHeart, and YouTube, just as a reminder. John, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. It's always good to see you.
Yeah,
John,
thanks.
we got a question this week from Todd. He wrote in, he said, I just started a new business with a friend, and we are trying to decide between a partnership and an LLC. He's very confused. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a little concerned because I think Todd might be reading my emails, because I am literally, I'm not kidding, and my partner Ben will know this is true. I'm looking at the same issue. So I have a partner that I co-founded a business with, and we sold it in 2012, and we're going to work together again. And we were debating not so much partnership versus LLC, but we were looking at LLC versus S Corp, and with all the new tax laws, kind of how that might impact us. So, but I'm prepared and happy to talk about partnership versus LLC, because many of the issues are the same. I've set up several LLCs. I don't want to promote just one company, but LegalZoom is who I use. There's others you can use. You don't necessarily need to have a lawyer draw up the foundational paperwork for an LLC, although you want to be very careful on. There's a section of it where you're specifying, choosing an exhibit to the primary document, where you're specifying who's going to do what and what the responsibilities are between the members of the LLC. You want that reviewed by a lawyer, and how you're breaking up the units. But let's talk about the difference between LLC and partnership and a bit broader.
When you say LLC, are we talking an S Corp or just a limited liability corporation?
I'm not sure what Todd was referring to here. I would assume a limited liability corporation and not an S Corp or a C Corp, because those are different. I could talk a little bit about those as well, just so we can make sure we answer Todd's question.
I don't think Todd's making a lot of money yet, so he might be an S Corp.
Yes, but let's talk about partnership versus LLC, and then I'll mention what an S Corp or C Corp could also add to that. The tax treatment of a partnership and an LLC are essentially the same. An LLC is what's called a pass-through organizational structure, which means any of the revenue or loss that's generated by the entity is passed through to the individuals that are part of the LLC, just like they would be in a partnership. The main differences are LLC allows you to take on capital in a bit more robust fashion. It's still not the best vehicle if you're going to take on venture capital or investor capital, but it's better than a partnership. Probably the most important one is the liability component, and it's even in the name, limited liability corporation. Partnerships, your personal assets are at risk in your business. So let's say, for instance, you had a driver. Let's say you have a partnership and you had a delivery person, and that delivery person unfortunately had a mishap on the road and somebody was injured. You personally would be liable for that other person's injury. So you might have to sell your house, you might have to sell your business. They could go after your personal assets.
Why would someone want a partnership?
Yeah, now they have these LLPs, so
Okay.
limited liability partnerships have been established just for that reason. Back in the old days, it was a very simple thing to set up. It's a handshake. It's like, we're in business, 50-50.
Oh, okay.
It's a really easy thing to dissolve. It's an easy thing to start. I think people were less litigious, years ago, and so the being sued errantly was probably less likely, whereas now it isn't. So that was probably part of it. It's a lot cheaper to set up a partnership than it is an LLC. When you set up an LLC, you have state fees you have to pay every year. $800 in California is the minimum. You have certain filing requirements. You have to file a tax return for the LLC, so it's not free, whereas a partnership, you don't have to do those things. I'll talk a little bit about S Corp, C Corp. So they're going to take you up a little bit more expensive. There's certain guidelines. You have to have bylaws. You have to have meetings. You have to have shareholder consents, things like that. But the big advantage with an S Corp or a C Corp is the ability to divvy up ownership. LLCs, you get units. You don't get shares. And it's hard to really divvy up ownership of an LLC. It's typically only going to be a handful of people. If you have employees and you want to give them part of the company, which I advise all entrepreneurs to do. If you're starting a business, give ownership to your employees. It's difficult to do with an LLC.
So I have to ask you, because you mentioned you're looking at doing one or the other. Can you tell us what you're working on?
Well, the business.
Yeah.
Sure. It's not super exciting. It's a online digital agency that similar to what we did before. So we worked with companies, a number of them in towns, Stamps.com, and we were very, very big partners with Commission Junction in town, and we were helping companies make money online, and we do it on a rev share basis. So when they make money, we make money, as opposed to just charging them fees. So it's basically we're an adjunct member of their marketing